Hello everyone, welcome back to the basic Oracle multi-tenant database administration activities. This will be section 5. So let's start with the introduction as well as what all tasks we are going to perform. So what are the objectives? So what we will be doing is we will be switching the container and changing the different containers, right? So we installed two pluggable database as well as there was already a container database and the PDB seed, as everyone might be knowing now. Change the PDB and CDB states we will be doing. We will be changing the PDB open states and saving it. Change the PDB initialization parameters, we will see that too. And we will be dropping the PDB. If in future, if we might require or you might require in real environment, then you can drop the PDB including the data files. So how do you switch the current container? Let's say you are currently, as soon as you do SQL plus /shdba, you are currently in root container. If you want to switch to the application container, right? Because you are not the administrator, you are not going to perform administrative activities, you are just an application user. If you want to perform any activities on the application database itself, want to connect to application database, then how do you do that? Then you have to switch the container. So you say alter session set and then container equals then container name will be PDB. If you want to switch back to the root container, then you can do that as well, providing the name cdb $root. Next, how to display the current container? You can say in the SQL plus show container name and container id, con id and con name. Okay, so these are the PDB and CDB states. So because CDB is associated with control file, so it can be in no mount state, but this is just CDB only. PDBs are not associated with SP files, as you might be knowing, archive logs, control files, redo logs, and for that reason, because it's not associated with the control files, it will not be in no mount state ever. Okay. Second, the mounted state means this exists in PDB and CDB, but in context of PDB, if PDB is saying that it's in mount state, it means the PDB is currently in closed state. Administrators can perform DBA and administrative activities, but other than that, user cannot connect to it. To apply and patches and upgrade, the state can be migrate. You can open the database in a migrate state. Read only state, if you want users to only read, to perform the read operation, not the read write operation, then you can alter the pluggable database to read only. And the final state where everything is accessible, read write operations are accessible. This is the final state of a pluggable database, that is read write mode. This is where the users or application users can connect and change the table or modify anything, right? So read write operation, just not read only. Okay, let's move on. Startup and shutdown of CDB. If you want to start up and shut down, this is same way as non-CDB. You just do SQL plus /shdba. You are currently in CDB root. You just say startup or either shutdown. If you want to start up and shut down the PDB, what do you do? As we already discussed in the table, you will have to say, if you want to put database in read-only mode, then you will say alter pluggable database open read only. If you want to put database in read write mode, then you will say alter pluggable database open, because read only is optional, because that is in square brackets, so it's optional. If you want to put the database in upgrade mode, upgrade restricted mode, then you have to say alter pluggable database open upgrade restricted. If you want to shut down the database, then you will say alter pluggable database close. So what it will do, it will close the current database, current container. So let's say you have already switched switched to, you have an you are administrator, PDB administrator, you have switched to the particular PDB. Now you can run this particular uh, particular statement saying that alter pluggable database close. Then what it will do, it will close or shut down the current PDB, not all the PDBs. So let's say if you have 3 PDBs and you are connected to PDB1, and if you run this particular statement, then it will close the PDB1 only. But from the root, you have to mention the PDB name, because root is like a parent, right, to all the pluggable databases. So if you want to run and close or shut down a specific PDB, then you have to say, or start the PDB, then you have to say alter pluggable database and the pluggable database name open. If you want to start all the pluggable database, then you have to say all open. And if you want to have an exception of specific PDB you don't want to start, then you will say except. Pretty easy, right? So we'll move on. Now you can actually start the from root, you can start up the pluggable database using the square brackets which has been provided. So you will say start of pluggable database PDB1 or whatever PDB you want to mention, whatever is there in your environment, and then you will, if you don't say anything, it will assume that you have to open it. Otherwise you have to mention read only restrictor force. As soon as you connect to PDB admin, you can perform the below tasks, that is startup and shutdown. Okay. If you want to view the state from the root itself, then what you will do, because this particular dictionary view v dollar dynamic performance view is v dollar PDBs is available from the root, then you can run it and it will show you all the pluggable databases available in your environment from the root itself. So it will show you the name, the current open mode, if it is restricted or not. Okay, let's move on. Now in some situation, because by default when you shut down the instance, so from the root if you issue shutdown immediate, what will happen is the instance itself will shut down, including the root container as well as the pluggable database. So everything is down. When you start up again the main root container or CDB, what will happen is the CDB root and the PDB seed will come up, but the pluggable database will still be in mount state, but because they are not automatically started when the complete instance is shut down and restarted. So what administrator or DBA needs to do in their environment, or you guys have to do in your environment as well, is to save the state, whatever state you want to put the pluggable database to be after the server restart. So you need to save the state. What you need to say is either one pluggable database state. So after starting the read write mode, you will need to say, so currently you need to say alter pluggable database open read write, right? So as soon as you do that, because the current state is read write, so you have to save that state. So you will say alter pluggable database all or specific PDB save state, and it will save the state. That state can be queried from DBA PDB save state, and it will show that the current state is this, and that is what database will query and look for while restarting the instance again. If in case the main the superpower you call that the CDB has been shut down and restarted for some specific administrative activities, all the pluggable database will be open automatically. If you want to discard the states, then you can discard the state and change the state accordingly to whatever you require. Okay. Now the PDB initialization parameters, as we already have said that SP file is associated with CDB, not any specific PDB, but there are some parameters which are associated with PDB. Those can be queried from PDB_SP file $. Okay, you have to look for is modifiable, is PDB modifiable equals S. It will mean that the whatever parameter, so let's say we will query $system_parameter. When you see this black box and the query itself here, what we are querying is we are selecting the name column from $system parameter, and what we are filtering on, where is PDB modifiable equals to true, and we are ordering by name. What it will throw out or spit out is what all parameters which are PDB modifiable, not the CDB. So this is how we can segregate, and then we can modify accordingly to PDB level, not the CDB. Okay, and for these to be modified, you can run it from the root as well as from the PDB itself. So now if you want to see the history of whatever has been modified into PDB, everything will be pushed into CDB PDB history. So in case of, if you want to create a report of whatever pluggable database, let's say if you have a critical application and you have 10 banking databases, right, sitting under the CDB, and if you want to, let's say every weekly there will be a cron job that will actually run and fetch the details from this CDB PDB history and see if there has been a compliance breach or something. So those type of things can be done from the CDB PDB history, so that administrators have a complete reporting details available for the management itself. Okay, so that can be done. We will see all these details in our practical lab or in the lab itself. Now, dropping a PDB. If you want to drop a PDB, first of all, it needs to be in mount state, that is closed state, and then you can issue the command saying drop pluggable database and the pluggable database name. If you don't mention including data file, that is optional. Then if you don't mention it, the data files will not be deleted and still sitting in your hard disk. Maybe for specific reason you don't want to delete it and then back up everything and then delete later, then it's according to the project. Or else you can just run this command saying drop pluggable database PDB1 including data files. It just looks and feels like when you're dropping the table space, correct? So same thing. That's done. PDB will be dropped. When you run the show PDBs, then you won't see these PDBs. Okay, let's start with the practical aspect of whatever we discussed in this particular slides. Okay,